Hello friends and family, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. This video it is part of the C# highlight videos. We're going to talk about default interface method in this video. Now, default interface method were introduced in the C# version of 8.0, and before 8.0, when you create an interface like this and you create an interface method, you need to create a class implementation which you're going to inherit from the interface, and you need to implement the interface to get the method specified in the interface. So if you check here, this is read, and we have this is also read here. That is the implementation. So this is an interface, and here is an implementation class. So this is an interface as the name implies here, and now here it is an implementation. This is an implementation class. So here, as you can see, it is inheriting from this interface. Now we have one member here, and we must have one member out here in the implementation class. At first, from the C# version, initial 1 to 7.0, that is how we used to do it. As soon as I decide to add a new one, so let's see like work. So as soon as we add new one, this is what we have to do. So when you add new one, you can see we have issue here. So you can just right click and now implement interface and now add this work. Okay, so you can actually now go in there and now try to call this method. So now let's see. So let's say I am working, and that is an activity. So when you run this, so you can actually call this as well. So I dot then work. So when you run this, let's see what we're going to have now. So you can see I am reading storybook and I am working. So that is a precise way, or the way that we knew, and that's what we've been doing, and creating an interface and implementation class. Now in C# 8.0, there's a slight change in here. There's a new feature added that you can actually make it in that way, and that's what we call as default interface method. Now, what is default interface method? Default interface method is where you create your interface and you add implementation to the interface. So instead of creating your interface here and I'm coming down to write the implementation in the class, you can write a default implementation here. What is the essence of doing this? Let's say you've created your interface. Now this interface is being inherited by multiple class of implementation. Now, but you decide to add one method. When you add one method, it's going to affect all the implementation class, because you know that if you decide to take off this iWork from here and we take this off, let's say this is no more there, you can see you're going to have a problem here, because we have implemented two methods. By the implementation, you have only one method, so you must have the two methods. Let's create another one and see. So this a class called activity, and let's create this. So this is called activity 2. It is inheriting from this. You can see we have the same issue here. Now let's see. So instead of this, if I change this to work, you can see we still have the issue, because it tells you that there are some members that you have to implement them. So in doing so, how can we prevent this? Let's say you have an interface whereby it's been inherited by multiple classes. You decide to add a new interface, and it is affecting the whole classes. In doing so, you can use a default interface method to rectify this. How are you going to do it? So let's clear this one. That's the version 2, and now in here, this work is giving us a problem. So instead of having implementation here, we can decide to add the implementation to the straight ahead. So you can add this. So console dot write line, then you can write I am working. So when you do this, when you call this method, this work, okay, although it is not found in this class, but the default implementation is here. So when you call a method here, it checks, do you have any default implementation? If yes, then it's going to use the default implementation. But when you have default implementation here, and you still have the same implementation here, then this what we're going to do is going to now override this and pick the class one. Let's see. So we have this right now. Let's control period, let's implement this and see. So we can also copy this and now let's paste this here, and this is going to be public void. Then this public void, we're going to say I am working overriding. Okay, so let's say we have this. So let's say we have this right now. With this that we have, you could see that from this angle we have this read method implemented, we have this work implemented. Now we check this, we have the implementation here, I am working, but here I am working, okay, overriding. So it means that here we are modifying this I am working, the default one. Now let's call this here. So we create an instance of the class, then we can now call i.read, and let's see i.work. Let's see which one is going to execute. Is it this overriding one or is it the default one? So let's save this, let's run application, and then see. So we see the implementation class here, it is taking in charge. But if we decide to take this off, if we decide not to implement it, it's still going to work. Okay, when you run this, it's still going to work for us. Let's see. So you see it is working. So this was introduced in version 2000, that is the version 8.0 in the C#. So you can actually now have a default implementation. You can write a lot of codes under the interface. At first we couldn't do that, but from the version of 8.0 upwards we can now do it. So that is it for this video. Thank you for watching.